Hi, my name is Bruno Frischard, and with my co-authors Denis Wittchen, Kata Spiel, Donald de Gren, Oliver Schneider, Georg Freitag, and Paul Strohmeyer, we are pleased to present TactJam, an end-to-end prototyping suite for collaborative design of on-body vibrotactile feedback. TactJam consists of a hardware interface composed of 8 actuators one can place on the body and actuate in real time, and a graphical user interface to visualize, document, and share vibrotactile patterns online. It supports in-situ on-body design and end-to-end collocated and remote collaborative work. Denis will now demonstrate the system.
The device is based on a PCB-only design with a game controller-like interface and an acrylic backplate. On the top of the PCB there are 8 buttons to activate the corresponding actuators. The amplitude of the actuators can be adjusted with the rotary encoder. With the left rotary switch one can select from 3 different modes: Jam for real-time design, Record and Play, or Data to transfer patterns between the device and the client software. TactJam can store up to 3 patterns that are selected with the rotary switch on the right side. The 3 buttons in the center of the device provide different functionalities depending on the selected mode. Once everything is connected and the actuators are arranged on the body, one can immediately start jamming. To record a pattern, one has to switch into record mode. The start and end are triggered with the left function button. Once the recording is finished and the pattern is sent to the client software, the time profiles are visualized in the graphical user interface. To enable others to recreate the experience of a pattern, it's important to document the arrangement of the actuators on the body. Therefore, the user can place color-encoded spheres on a 3D avatar. Before the pattern gets uploaded to the server, the designer might add a detailed description and custom tags. Now the pattern is available to the entire TactJam community. Finally, collaborators can search for tags or specific patterns in the database and load them to their TactJam device.
It can help to situate design tools on the design process itself, where you go from lots of initial ideas to a final set of concepts iteratively. It really helps to explicitly model whether you're sketching early ideas or refining them, or whether you're sharing ideas with others and browsing examples, especially in haptic design. Other tools tend to focus on subsets of these processes. For example, sketching early ideas independently, maybe browsing others' examples without being able to share or actually edit them, or going through the entire process independently as an editor. TactJam focuses on adding collaboration throughout the process, especially on the sketching side. So you can sketch with others, and it has the potential for adding refinement later. This means we can also situate it on the groupware matrix, where people collaborate synchronously or asynchronously, and co-located or remotely. Most collaboration for haptics tends to be synchronous and co-located. You're working together on a single device. But what TactJam lets you do is work remotely, both synchronously in an online jam session, as well as asynchronously being able to download or share ideas as you work independently, meaning that you have a final design space focused on collaboration.
Of course, nothing prevents people from coming together and using TactJam in a co-located manner. In fact, that is what we had originally planned. We wanted to present TactJam as a workshop at TEI. However, that wasn't possible due to COVID. The only option we had was to do it remotely, which, lucky for us, TactJam was already designed to do. Less lucky was that the logistics for making that happen were a nightmare. We were not able to get TactJam kits to participants as timely as we meant to, so we ended up having to split the workshop into 2 parts. The first part happened during TEI, and for this part we only used the software features of TactJam. The second part happened once everyone had reached their hardware at home, and everyone was, physically able to do it because they had the hardware and physically attaching vibration motors to their body and stuff like that. In retrospect, this was very cool because it enabled some sort of natural experiment which showed us a bit how different design tools lead to different design outcomes. So in the first workshop, we designed tactile symbols with the design tool. We didn't actually use any vibration in this workshop, only collaborative software design tools. And listen to some of the excerpts of our Zoom meeting in which we shared our work.
So this is a pattern on the cyclist's back, which may serve as a type of rain forecast, the impression of maybe rain tickling down, so that it's just a pattern moving down from top to bottom. One could also indicate maybe with the circle on top, kind of a clock interface.
Ultimately, we thought we have urgency, proximity or distance, direction, and then maybe something like time or what the actual information is. And so we have two main placements. One is on the arm, because their other arm might have medical instrumentation as well. We have it across the arm, so you get maybe like a stroking pattern or some affective touch, maybe do some continuous motion. And we really want to get the shoulders, you get like a shoulder tap, etc. So social touch.
There was a strong focus on metaphors and a very structured and analytical, almost like a top-down approach to haptic design. This completely switched when we started prototyping on the body, and all of us really got sucked into exploring the experience of having one's body vibrated. So if you listen to some of the discussion, you'll notice a shift in tone.
I was trying a bit on the throat, which is super interesting and very not aggressive at all. Whereas I would have thought without trying it that this would be like, no, don't put something on my throat. And then I was building up a bit, like trying a bit more on the face in different positions. And this was quite interesting. Like I could just let it play. And it was quite nice to have this sensation on the face and keep repeating.
I was playing a lot with, I think I started with pulses and then I went with swoops. So I was really trying to play around with the volume. And I found that like having that ease in, that ease out, that fade in, fade out. And I was trying to mimic sort of an ADSR envelope.
So in the second workshop, the signal design and the signal dynamics moved into focus. But especially people started thinking and talking about the subjective experience much more and how bodies in general and our body specifically affect how things are experienced. Another interesting difference to note between the two workshops is actuator placement. So during the first workshop, people wanted to place actuators basically everywhere. And while we didn't notice it at the time, during the second workshop, we focused on only a subset of these locations. In retrospect, it's probably obvious, but of course the reachability of body locations, it severely restricted the breadth of things we were able to explore in the second workshop. So to briefly summarize, there were a number of important differences between working in software and working on the body. In software, the approach was typically top-down, often focusing on classes of tactile symbols and how these might relate, and participants relied heavily on metaphors. On the body, the approach was comparatively bottom-up. People focused on the design of individual tactile signals and the resulting experiences. In software, participants clearly designed for others, often designing for populations which they were not necessarily part of. While on the body, participants based their design around themselves, around their own experiences and personal preferences. Finally, in software, participants mostly considered all of the body of other people for potential actuator placement, while when working on the body, the placement was restricted both by reachability as well as what was deemed socially appropriate in the given setting. So personally, I was super nervous about hosting a remote workshop with people I largely did not know using prototype hardware. I was sure everything would go wrong. But it didn't. The workshop went as planned. And that to me is a huge testament towards TactJam working as we had intended. Of course, nothing is perfect. A big design mess up we made was the very male avatar used in the GUI. Ideally, we'd want something more generic or give users the ability to modify the avatar in some way. Also, there are a ton of features we'd like to see in the future. Most importantly, some type of post-hoc editing method and the ability to connect multiple devices for live control of remote people's vibration motors.
As the development of TactJam continues, all sources of software and hardware are under open source license and available on GitHub. We imagine this might allow others to copy, branch or remix our work. We hope this will enable others to use TactJam in their research or as a teaching or design tool. Thanks for your time and attention.